Okay, welcome to our first lecture in the Entrepreneur Leadership Series. We are very, very excited that you're with us tonight. We're excited about our two speakers. We have Nathan Putnam and Kyle Ivins. They're both Aggies. They graduated from our program in 2012 and have built very successful multi-million-dollar businesses since leaving. And they will be speaking to us just in a few minutes. We have a lot of new students that have joined the course, and I want to review a couple of key points, and I'll answer any questions that you have. So there's 10 of these lectures. To pass the class, it's a 1-hour pass-fail class. Not a ton of work. The main thing you have to do is you just have to come. So you have to attend 9 of the 10 lectures to pass the class. And I'd like to make a suggestion. Some students every semester say, oh, I can miss one class, so I'm going to blow this one off, and they don't come, say, to the 3rd or the 4th lecture. For whatever reason, and then later in the semester they actually have a real emergency or a problem or an illness, and they've already used their one absence. So don't look at it as though you get to miss one. Say, if I have to miss one, I'm still okay. And just come to all of them. They're all going to be great, okay? So to get credit for being here, you all have a form in front of you. You have to pick that up in the back, and we'll pass those out until 6:10. So if you're late coming from work or whatever, or you can't find a place to park, you can still pick that form up until 6:10 and be counted as being here. And then we stay through the lecture, through the questions and answers, and then you turn it in the boxes at the back when you leave, okay? The second thing is that those of you that are listening that are not on the Logan campus, you need to email your 5 points into Colton. So there's his email address. You just write down, send him an email, summarize 5 things you learned from the lecture, and email those to Colton, and then you get credit for attending as well if you're registered at a regional campus, not here in Logan. The next thing that you have to do to pass the class, at the very end, there's a reflection paper due. We talked about it last week. It's 3 to 4 pages is all of the most important things that you feel like you learned during this series. And it's due 1 week after the last class. So the last class is April 4th, so that reflection paper is due Wednesday, April 11th. And we'll talk about it, we'll remind you, but if you just forget about that and don't turn it in, it'll be a shame that you came to all the lectures, but then you didn't turn in the paper. We can't chase down 400 students to remind you to turn it in if you don't turn it in. Just make a note, put in your phone right now. On April 5th, you're going to write the paper, okay? And then also, we don't turn these sheets back in. We have 400 students in the class, so if you want to remember what the key points were from each lecture, you need to just take a picture with your phone of what you wrote down, and then you'll have a whole record of each lecture. The next thing is we have great dinners before these lectures. We have about 40 of you get to attend each dinner with the entrepreneurs that are speaking. The dinner list is now complete, and it is on the homepage of the website for both the MBA students and for the undergraduate students. If you have any questions about the dinner, email Bailey. She's awesome, and she can help you fit in if you want to change the date or you have a problem or something. She's the one that manages those dinners for us. Sound good? Okay, so every lecture after the speakers finish, we'll have a question and answer period, and we recommend that you look at their websites and maybe read some articles about their companies and really come prepared to learn a lot and ask some great questions. And as soon as they're finished, anyone that has a question, you're going to line up along this wall over here, and we'll have Bailey will be there with a microphone, and you'll be able to ask questions. Those of you that are outside of Logan, if you want to email Colton with questions, we can probably answer some of those questions as well. Okay, so last week we talked a little bit about how jobs are being replaced by automation, by robots, by software, by hardware, artificial intelligence. And the best experts are saying we are going into a period with a job-light economy. About half of our current occupations are expected to be gone in about 15 years. And I told you that Andy and I jumped in a van and traveled all across America. We did a road trip. It was really awesome. And so we interviewed scholars, researchers, professors, trends analysts. And we want to show you a really short video just as a follow-up to what we talked about. And this helps to emphasize why these skills are going to be really, really important to you in the future. Okay? So Bailey, let's show the video.
The future of work as a result of technology is going to be the biggest change in the 21st century as industrialization changed the world centuries ago. We're at a fundamental shift right now.
In a world driven by incredibly rapid and accelerating change, this era of entrepreneurship and this era in the economy in general is unprecedented.
What technology has been good at for a few decades now is replacing routine work.
This could lead to fundamental changes in reality, how they work.
It's going to be so hugely disruptive.
It's affecting workers and jobs and wages in ways that we have not seen before.
Imagine what that does to the trucking industry.
Everyone's talking about the driverless car.
When all trucks drive themselves, they can drive 24 hours a day.
Within 10 years, we're not going to be allowed to drive because it's just going to be deemed unsafe.
And if you breathe on it, it'll tell you whether you have lung cancer or not.
No occupation is off limits.
Robots are doing more accurate surgeries than the surgeons.
The bank teller,
The payroll clerk.
We don't need you anymore.
I honestly believe I am going to live to see a science fiction economy where our mines, our factories, warehouses, our farms, highways are staffed almost exclusively by machines. We're just going to automate the work.
Anybody who takes charge of their own economic destiny, regardless of the scale, for me is an entrepreneur.
We literally started by selling Ziploc bags of this powdered drink mix that we made in a hardware store.
I was pretty sick of doing what I was doing.
I just kept feeling like, man, like this can't be my life. Like I'm too creative for this.
I remember thinking, wouldn't it be just the greatest thing ever if we could actually get paid doing this?
I ordered 5,000 skirts and I didn't know how to build a business.
How do you come up with a sample of something that's never been done before?
I have to create my own destiny.
Taking that bold step is what 3x'd my company.
I do this because this is my dream.
You can do whatever the hell you want.
Stop settling for a mediocre job.
Stop being such a wuss.
You know, if ever there was a reason to be self-employed,
Changed my whole life.
I'm not going back to work. I'm doing something on my own.
Put on your big boy pants and get to freaking work.
Dozens of experts and many entrepreneurs, and we are really optimistic that we're going to all have a bright future, but we're going to need a new set of skills, and those skills are problem solving, they're innovation, they're value creation, they're linking with consumers, knowing how to build brands, giving back to our communities, and so that's what we're really trying to teach here in the Clark Center for Entrepreneurship, and this class is really a primer to just get you excited to want to develop those skills. I'm very excited tonight for the two speakers that we have. Nate Putnam was a phenomenal MBA student of ours in 2012. He has a bachelor's degree in philosophy. And he decided he wanted to come and gain some more skills. And quickly in the program, he decided he was going to be an entrepreneur. He wasn't going to go find a job. Kyle Ivins was the president of our Entrepreneurship Club in 2012. And he did a phenomenal job leading the club and creating activities and marketing activities. And he decided he wasn't going to go get a job. He was going to be an entrepreneur. They paired up and they started developing their first company here at Utah State. And so for me, it's thrilling to have students that have graduated from our program have a business big enough and successful enough to come back and be our first speakers in our lecture series. So I'm going to let Kyle Moore is going to give you an official introduction to these two speakers, and then we'll turn the time over to Nathan and Kyle. Okay.
The honor to actually introduce Nate and Kyle. I'll start with Nate. So Nate, Mike kind of stole my thunder. He was an undergrad in philosophy here at Utah State, soon to go on into sales at Zags until he decided to go to the entrepreneurship way and come back and get his MBA. He's been married for 10 years, has 4 kids, and now with Kyle started 2 companies and employs over 35 people. Kyle is from American Fork, Utah. He's an undergrad here as well in entrepreneurship as well as business administration. And actually, Kyle and Nate both met up here at Utah State and became lifelong friends and started Monometric as well as Involve. As you guys have probably seen the websites, Involve is a company that monetizes web information. and they're very successful. So please help me welcome them and put your hands together for Nate and Kyle.
My mic working? You guys can hear me okay? I'm not a techie person.
Okay. Mine works too.
Awesome. Thank you, Kyle.
We already have claps. So.
We're good, yeah. Thank you, Kyle, for the introduction. We really appreciate it. To kind of build off of what Kyle had talked about, this Kyle and I did meet here. We met in Professor Herman's class. Back then it was a concurrent enrollment class, had some graduates and some undergraduates, and basically the whole point of the course was to start a business. Like, what could you start a business, generate revenue with in the course of a semester? And so forcing kind of those constraints forced a lot of innovation, a lot of thought, and basically coming out of that, we were able to spin up an agency. A little bit of background on myself. I was from Bunkerville, Nevada, and like as Dr. Glauser said, came up here and did a bachelor's degree in philosophy, and so obviously went into sales because I don't like janitorial work, and so but fortunately landed with a young startup and caught a little bit of an entrepreneurship bug, and came back here and did an MBA, and kind of made the commitment that I was going to be the captain of my own soul and control my own destiny, and that's where I met Kyle. You know, some background on you.
Yeah. So, like Nate said, this has been a bucket list item kind of for us. It wasn't that long ago, maybe 5 years, maybe 6. It's kind of hazy, and you'll hear through our story, it's a little hazy. But we were in these seats back in the old business building, listening to entrepreneurs and like filling our tanks with the passion that we needed to like move forward, and the education. And so like tonight is not about us, tonight is about you guys. And even though we're sharing our story, like all we're doing is like we've kind of picked out the stories that we hope will help you guys start businesses. Like now is the time for you guys to start a company. You might feel like you know nothing, and it's true, you really don't. Like you're just little babies in like the professional environment, but that can be a really good thing. Like you're naive enough to think that you still can, and that's really good because that naivety will carry you a long way. And so please, if you have questions, write them down so you don't lose them. We'll do Q&A after this, but Nate and I are in no rush to get home, so please, like if you don't get your question answered in the Q&A, come up afterwards for sure. So,
yeah, and we have a reputation of being a little long-winded, especially when we're talking about ourselves or entrepreneurship, which is consequently our 2 favorite subjects. And so if you have to leave, if we go over, don't feel bad. Like we're not going to take it personally if you have to take off. Like we totally get it. We're going to try to respect your time, but sometimes we get a little carried away, and that's just being honest about ourselves.
Yep. So getting the elephant out of the room of what we actually do. Because if you're not in our industry, it doesn't make sense. So we, as Monumetric, we empower publishers by helping them earn more from their content. So by publishers, we don't mean people that write books, we mean people that own websites. If you own a website and you have a lot of traffic, one of the best ways to monetize it is still advertising through display, video, and mobile advertising. That's what we take care of for publishers. So most publishers are content creators. They're freaks and geeks about the stuff that they're into. Like we have a lot of crochet sites for some reason. Like if you're into crocheting, you're not into ad tech. That's what we do. So we supply the code and we prepare the relationships between the advertisers and the exchanges and the websites that they advertise on. So just so that's out of the way, because I know that that's confusing if you go to our site and you don't know what that industry is about. So
yeah, and our path to what we currently do was obviously very far removed from what we set out to accomplish, and we think that's okay. Right? Like, I think the biggest point was that we started and we ran after what we were passionate about, and we found opportunity along the way, right? We've been unromantic about what we do, how we make money, and hopefully we're still this way in 5 years. We're super passionate about what our customers actually care about and want, and we take that as candid feedback, and that's what we use to kind of understand the market, hopefully better than our competition, which allows us to stay in business and employ some of the best people that I've ever met.
Yeah, so we've got a little video that shows a little bit about us and kind of what we do at Monumetric.
We're like the Star Trek team.
I think we're like a big bowl of Sour Patch Kids.
A glorified summer camp.
We're like Lego Master Builders.
We're kind of weird and fun and entertaining to watch, quite frankly.
I would say we're kind of like a pack of wolves.
This is family, you know?
Working here is like seeing a long-lost friend. You pick up where you left off with them. It's like you were never apart. You're that in sync with the people you work with.
None of us really came from this side of the industry. Because we came at it with a fresh perspective, we do things like nobody else. And in that way, we're kind of rebellious.
We kind of force collaboration and innovation. I know that's kind of a buzzword, but that's actually what we do.
It's very interactive and hands-on.
Relatively like my wife's family. My wife's family, actually it's better than my wife's family.
It's not a job. We come here because we enjoy each other, we're a team, we're working together.
We spend more time with these people than anybody else in our life. So we put that relationship above almost anything.
A lot of times people think that there's one way to do what we do in this industry. There are about a million ways you can do things, and I think that we really found the right way to do things here.
Everything that we envision, we turn into reality, and everything that we dream up, we make possible.
We're trying to make owning a website really lucrative.
We have brought monetary success to people that didn't have that before they teamed up with us.
What they do is really inspiring and cool, and that's something that everybody in this building recognizes.
Publishers just don't really understand exactly how they're making their money.
There is a gap or a chasm that exists between advertisers and the people that run the websites that they're looking to advertise on. We're bridging that gap.
You want to get to how much you're really making for every page view or every session that you create so that you can more effectively monetize your website.
What we do isn't magic, it's just science, right? Good old-fashioned, bring your nerd and your calculator and figure it out.
We thrive on breaking the model.
Nothing's real until we've tested the crap out of it, and then it's real.
Right, it's testing, it's retesting, it's hypothesizing, it's failing, it's flailing, and it's breaking stuff. And then we retest and we figure out why it broke. That's how we learn, that's how we progress.
It's how publishers are earning money from their side and providing for their families. And that's pretty freaking awesome.
Cool. Thanks for sitting through that. It's a little bit of vanity on our part, but to kind of counterbalance that, we want to have a disclaimer before we kind of launch in to a lot of the lessons that we've learned. So this is the first event in this series, and what we hope you understand is the reality of what sample sizes mean. And so what we're going to share with you is from a sample size of 2 people. Like, this is our experience, and we're going to try to share principles that hopefully are applicable in a large part to what you're looking to do, but also as you attend other lecture series, like, understand that, you know, what that person or speaker is telling you is from their experience, right? And there is no panacea, there's no silver bullet that's going to solve everything, but try to tease out things that are going to be principles that help you and inspire you and work through that, right? Like, we are not the sharpest tools in the shed. We're not the smartest entrepreneurs in the world. We are about 5 years down the path than most of you in this room, and we're just trying to share what that experience is.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. So we started this, what became this company, but we started our agency in David Herman's class, like Nate said, and we had to make money immediately, which means we couldn't make a product, which means we had to have a service because we needed to make money pronto. So each of us had a tiny bit of experience in social media marketing and marketing in general, so we thought, let's just try to start selling, right? Which is like a principle that you'll hear from a lot of entrepreneurs. Even before you know what you're doing, try to sell your idea. So the very first thing we did is we went out and tried to get clients. We worked our connections of friends in Logan, and we landed our first client, which was a local salon here in Logan. We charged this company $250 a month, which is a whopping sum of money. And we convinced them to turn their Facebook page into a business page and to start actually posting content to it. This is before Facebook was public. This was before Facebook was a thing. Our first sales meetings as an agency, we were literally convincing businesses they should be on Facebook. That's how primitive the social media landscape was. So month one we started, we were able to, because Facebook didn't have a lot of rules, we were able to personally message every single person that they had ever had follow or add them as a friend. And we gave them a coupon code, or we gave them an incentive to come in. And we raised that salon's foot traffic by 2,000%. Right, so we had this astronomical increase. Month two, we continued to post content. The salon hired 6 stylists based on that first month. Month two, they saw not an increase from that 2,000, but they still saw an increase, and he fired us in month two because he didn't feel like he was getting the return on his money. So that month, he planted a flower bed in front of his shop. So we always say that we got fired for those flowers because it was probably about $250 worth of flowers. And we've carried that as a chip on our shoulder from day one. But what we learned early on was that whoever your customer is, you have to demonstrate the value that you're providing. Right? Month one, his expectations were blown away, and we let that expectation ride. Right? So he's thinking, man, if this is month one, just wait till they hit month two, right? And that hockey stick growth was not ever possible to be recreated every single month. But that's not an expectation that we set up front. And so he walked into month two, was disappointed by us, and that had to be the strangest meeting of our life because we were on cloud 9 and he was on cloud 0. So that's, I think, the first principle is your customers and your relationship with your customers is delicate. And setting up the proper expectations up front is going to save you years of heartache. Because whatever anchor you set for your customers, they're going to think forever. You can never set a price point and go back on that. Because the brain cannot associate value on its own. It has to use relative measures. So if you ever tell a client, even if you accidentally promise something in a meeting, you can never go back on it. So, fast forward to 3 years later when we're signing up websites for this new network, we had a salesperson who would say, yeah, we'll probably double your income. Guess what happened when we raised a publisher's income by 80% instead of 100%? They were pissed. Even though they're seeing an 80% increase and not double, it's just that initial anchor that you set that's so important.
And you may be able to tell we're still a little salty about this. We bring it up all the time. And every time we're in Logan, we drive by it and we look at each other and we laugh. But inside, it's really kind of to mask pain and hurt. That's really what it is. It's a coping mechanism. But to Kyle's point, right? Had that initial conversation with that customer gone differently, if it was more around, hey, if we were able to increase your foot traffic by 100%, if we were just able to double it, would you sign a 1-year contract? Would you do that if that, right? Because in hindsight, a salesman's job is always the easiest thing in the world, right? Anybody that's done sales can agree to that. When you get hired on as a salesperson anywhere, they'll promise you the sun, the moon, and the stars, but once you've actually delivered, that's kind of discounted. It's easy to sell this because we have an awesome product or whatever. That also works with when you're selling yourself or a service or a good, because to Kyle's point, right, the brain just cannot on its own ascribe value to anything. It has to be told how valuable this is. And so setting those expectations around, hey, look, if we kill it for you, then at that point, would you do this? And having that in the initial contract, we would have made a lot of money. But unfortunately, even though we blew it out of the water, right, we got fired after month 2, right? And so that's the kind of the key takeaway from that anecdote is be really careful about the expectations you set with customers.
So then what did we do after we sold our first client? We took that first client, made a case study out of it, and went and sold the rest of the salons in Logan, right? That was the only experience we had, and we were now experts at salons, social media. We picked up a burger place. What did we do? We did well for them. We created a case study. We went and got more food places. And that's just organically how we grew. By the end of the semester, we won the competition. We were the best team in the class. Best team ever, probably. Dave Herman, if he's here, he'll probably disagree. But by the end of that semester, we had our first national client. And we actually had money, and we thought we can actually probably make this thing a business. So we quickly, did what everyone else would do. We kicked out everyone else in the group.
That wasn't in it long term. They didn't want to do this for a living. It wasn't like they wanted to and we're like, sorry, no, we're jerks. But like, this was not the career path they were on because they're not crazy.
Yep. So now we had a couple of clients, and we had one person that we were paying $100 a month to help manage some of these social media accounts. But now we're moving into the summer, which is when most students make all their money for the next semester. We were moving into the summer probably going to make zero money. And my wife was due that summer with our first child. So naturally, it makes sense to make zero money that summer. So we actually, Mike hooked us up with a really great internship with the Technology Center here on campus. And we vetted all of the school's patents and tried to build business plans around them. The school has some weird patents. I'll just tell you that right now. Some of those research dollars are researching weird stuff. But that was like an invaluable experience for us to be able to have some money, but also be vetting business plans while also building the agency.
Yeah, and I think going through that process is a skill set that you develop over time, right? Nobody is an expert at evaluating intellectual property or evaluating a business model overnight, and we are not experts by a long shot, but you do have a lot of experts here that are actually employed to have set office hours where they have to talk to you. So if you are wanting to become an entrepreneur, create a business model, even if it's garbage, and schedule 30 minutes of one of the professor's times and just figure out everything that you're missing and what's going wrong, right? We were fortunate to kind of go through that and see a lot of deal flow and get paid to do it, which is like the ideal scenario, but it helped us kind of understand like a lot of the fundamentals of like go-to-market strategies and the value that's inherent in any type of intellectual property. But can you make a profitable business model out of it? That was like the whole point of that.
So then at the end of that summer, we realized that what most of these businesses were missing were websites and any sort of digital technology at all online. So we knew we needed to add that skill set to our team. And so we hired another member out of Nate's cohort who became one of our co-founders named Kevin. However, Kevin had a family and he needed some money and we needed some money if we wanted to keep doing this. So who do you first raise money from?
Does anybody know the 3 F's? You just shout it out. Family, friends, fools. Friends, family, fools. Those are, and kind of in that order, right? Fortunately, my father-in-law had made a deal with me earlier in my life that if I ever became an entrepreneur, he wanted first right of refusal to invest in anything that I started. And so we were fortunate to have that. We raised a small amount of capital, about $50,000 that summer. That gave us enough of a buffer to hire somebody like Kevin, who had final rounds of interviews with both Apple and Google and decided to not go the corporate route, but to become an entrepreneur. He is way more risk adverse than we are, and so it helps, I think, balance us out quite a bit. His dad's a CPA and runs a CPA firm, and so he's super risk adverse, hates debt, hates all the things that we're like, yeah, man, we'll figure it out. Like, let it ride, let's do it. And so having that balance, and his background was in project management. He has a really strong tech background, not a coder, but that gave us the skill set and the ability to build people's websites. And so we could outsource the implementive portion, but he could do all of the creative portions. He could create the wireframes, the scopes of work. That is what he did. And so having that super valuable skill set, that actually ended up being over half of our total revenue generated over the next year was websites we were able to sell. Because that's what we found is we met with companies, and it's like, great, like you want to get into digital, but like you can't because you have no landing place, you have no landing pages, you have no tracking, you have no capability of even understanding that you're spending money here and making it here. And so like we found that to be a necessary part of what we could do for companies.
So we end that summer with about 10 clients. We're making some money, we've raised a little bit of money, but for anyone that's owned a business, how far does $50,000 go? Not very far.
Not out of this room.
Yeah. And so we needed to continue to find clients, but we also needed to become a little bit more professional. That summer, we didn't pay for any office space because Mike let us camp out in the Entrepreneurship Center.
Which at the time was 2 rooms.
Yeah, and we took one of those rooms. And there was this big TV in there, and every time we would set up to work, someone had changed the background back to like a Utah State thing. So we'd always change that computer's background to our logo, as if it was ours, which it wasn't. So we needed an office space. We needed a place to like grow up a little bit. But we were spending most of our money on paying for software licenses and paying for that still one employee who we were stretching a little bit thin, as well as also affording ourselves to keep working on it. So my wife, who was working as a waitress at the time up north in Smithfield, I was driving there and noticed that there was a business park off to the left. It was the middle of the day, and there were no cars in this business complex, and there was a building that looked empty. So I pulled off the side of the road. I found out who owned the building, and I called them and said, hey, I'm interested in your space that has no people in it. And they said, well, that's ours. We're going to grow into it eventually. And I said, can we rent it for you or at least squat in it for maybe 6 months to a year? And the woman was kind of surprised at my request that I was asking for it for free. But something I learned from this lecture series from Becky Anderson, which was a while back, she owns For Every Body and For Every Home, is that you already have the no. You always have the no. And you might as well go for the yes, right? And not to be afraid of getting that no, because you already have it, right? Like that lady's already not renting that space to me. I already have a no. So I might as well ask for a yes. They ended up renting us this whole floor of this office building for $200 a month. And Nate's family lived in South Jordan at the time. He was commuting up for his MBA. Nate ended up living in it.
Yeah, we moved in a hide-a-bed couch. We put a whiteboard in front of the window so nobody knew I was sleeping there. I would shower in the field house. I mean, it was only 4 nights a week. Like, it's not like I was living there. But that's one quality that I love about Kyle. Like, there's pros and cons. Like, he will argue with the Taco Bell cashier that he can upgrade to a Doritos Loco Taco for free on his combo, or like he'll always ask
for it.
Ask for it, right? The worst thing that can happen is what is already going to happen if you don't ask, right? And even to that point, like, we were able to actually have a fairly formal office space so we could bring in clients to meet with them. Like, that was something that was, like, we can't bring clients here to the campus because that just shows like, oh yeah, these are just a bunch of snotty-nosed kids. Like, they don't know what they're doing. And which was true, but you don't want people to know that about you at that time, right? You always kind of want to act as if and like fulfill your own dreams. But even that same attitude, right? Like, we'll get to this a little bit later, but as our current entity started to scale, we needed more office space. We outgrew the current space that we were in. And we literally just pulled up Google and we're looking at like buildings that were for rent. And we found the old Parks and Rec building in Farmington, which had been sitting on the market for a year. And we're like, oh, let's find out who owns that thing. Like, that's kind of cool. Like, warehouse space, that's kind of like in now, like the open, like, and you guys saw in the video, that's our office. So we ended up finding the guy that owns it. And it turns out he taught entrepreneurship at BYU. So we're like, hey, like, let's work some angles, right? Like, so we call him up, we get his assistant, we get finally through to him after about a week, and we're like, hey, we're interested in your space. I've seen that it's been on the market for a while. Like, can we take you to lunch and kind of tell you what we're doing? And we were far enough along that we had kind of a demonstratable business model, but just we bought him lunch at Thanksgiving Point, spent like 2 hours with him. He ended up being a small investor in the entity, as well as basically gave us the biggest sweetheart of a deal for this building because he was pretty distracted, and we were able to lock in a purchase price on that building. We did what's called a lease option buy. So we moved into that building and had 2 years to pay rent, and if we were able to close and purchase the building within 2 years, we were able to purchase the building at what it was worth 2 years ago. And as it turns out, when we were in there at Station Park, they built a Cabela's, they built a Chick-fil-A, they built a hospital, they built about 100 apartment doors. And so the value of that building went up by over $1 million, and we were able to buy it based off of the deal that we had prior, right? And so asking for whatever, like, you already have a no. And now what that affords us is we now own a commercial piece of property, and we have $1 million in equity in this building that we have a line of credit against. So we have access to capital that's asset backed, and it's super, super cheap. So if we need to dump money on a fire to help us grow or scale or pivot or do whatever, we have super cheap access to capital. And that is like something that's completely aside of our whole business model. But by having the right mindset of just saying, hey, like, can we work something out, we've benefited tremendously from, and probably saved us hundreds of thousands of dollars in terms of rent and costs and interest rates and everything else.
Yeah, it was funny when we met with the owner of our second building. He actually came to our office and audited our financials. And I mean, this guy teaches MBA entrepreneurship at BYU. He built and sold Western Watts. So I mean, he's done it. It was like 20 minutes of silence as he just goes through all of our projections and everything. And finally he goes, "There's no way you guys do this. There's no way you guys make it. But in case you do, I'll sign this deal." It was awesome.
And I think that's probably one point where having a really gritty, maybe not so profitable business actually helped us, where he thought that, and again, back to the setting expectations, right? Like if this wildest dream comes true, all these positive benefits happen. But that happens if and only if we set the expectations now. So he was willing, I think, to take that flyer on us. And yeah, he was a little sore when he finally sold us the building because he realized how much it had gone up in value. And he's a businessman, but at the end of the day, like, he recognizes like what we had done and the value that we had created, you know, in the space.
And we signed the docs for the mortgage on that building 2 weeks before our deadline. So it was down to the wire for sure.
And you think getting approved for any type of investment is hard? Try going to a bank when you have a company that's been around for 2 years and is cash flow negative, and try to get approved for a mortgage to buy a building for over $2 million. Try it. Like, that's an experience.
That's awesome. Okay. I know. It sounds stupid when we say it, but that's how it went.
But like, even asking the bank, right? Like, the bank, we pretty sure said no, and I think 9 out of 10 banks said no, which is fine. But like, we're going to ask, and we're going to keep asking, and if it's possible, like every conversation with the banks got better and better because we knew what questions they were going to ask, so we could kind of make sure we're addressing those before they brought up the questions, and we just got better and better at it.
Okay, so now let's go back to our time in Logan. We're a small agency. I'm still in school, Nate's still in school. That was my Huntsman Scholar semester. I was president of the Entrepreneurship Club. We just had a baby, and we were building this business. So we were both working on it basically part-time. And it was growing really slowly, but it was still providing enough income that we were able to keep researching and keep improving. After that semester, Nate was done with school, with his MBA, and again, had job offers, but decided to just forge this path, even though it still didn't make sense on paper. We continued to grow, but what we found was we weren't going to land any of the huge brands in Utah, let alone LA. Like, we were just too small, there was no way. But where we did have relationships were VC groups and even early stage like lending partners like seed funds. And what they needed was a marketing company to come in and help them vet the deals on how viable this would be to market, and also help develop marketing and business plans for these groups, which is exactly what we did in our internship, which is exactly what we did in the E-Club. So it actually fit our skill set really well, but all those deals were in Salt Lake. So we started to move the company down to Salt Lake, and we're looking for office space. Again, this time we didn't find an empty building. We found the next best thing, which was a shipping facility, which was right across the street from a strip club in Salt Lake. So super high quality space.
Nice neighborhood.
But we had some other friends from Utah State who had built their own company, and it was a sourcing company out of China. And they were partnering with this warehouse group to build like an accelerator for young companies. So a company could come in that had a product, they could inventory there, they could help them source cheaper product from China, and we could help them distribute the product and market through their channels. So we moved our company into this really, really crappy warehouse. And what we noticed was the people that we were working with weren't the best. And we should have known from the location maybe, but when we were so young, we would never say no to a deal, no matter who the person was, if they were sketchy, if they were super fake tan and they had bleached everything and drove a Mercedes. Like, those are legit warning signs. Just like that's not fake. Like, the way people dress does exude a little bit of who they are. But we kept taking on these deals, and they weren't working out very well. They were not with the best people.
Yeah, and it wasn't like we took a flyer on it. We had some really good wins working with these VC groups who were legitimate, right? And they had actual funds, and they were business people, and they had patience, and they understood what was going on. So we were a little punch drunk on that idea because the money was good, the deal flow was good, and it was really rewarding for us because we really liked to vet deals because we'd done that a lot. And so it was really fun, and so we're like, oh yeah, and because of that, like, you get blinders, and you start to think you're really, really smart. You start to think you know things that other people don't, which makes you ignore red flags, orange flags, yellow flags. Like literally, like when you walk in this front office, stenciled in like 2-foot letters is revenue, revenue, revenue.
That was their motto.
And being entrepreneurs, right? And we were in the MBA class earlier this morning, and somebody shared, who was it that shared that? Is he here? Sam, will you say it? Oh, he just left. So the saying, correct me if I'm wrong,
Sam.
He said that revenue is vanity, profit is sanity, and cash is king, right? So we should have known, like if literally all this company preaches is revenue, they probably don't get it. And they're probably pretty vain, which every other piece of stimuli told us, we just ignored it.
Yep, so we went down some paths where we were creating joint ventures and profit sharing partnerships with some of these companies. And it was only a matter of time until one went south. So we had our first really bad deal go south. The person who owned the shipping facility invested $14,000 to build a website for a large Utah artist. We were going to be the marketing arm, he was going to be the artist, and they were going to be the fulfillment for his paintings. This was going to be a profit split. But the money, like their whole thing was revenue, revenue, revenue. It was not long-term value for the customer. So we're about 2 months in, and we're finishing up this website. And we're spending nights there until 2 or 3 a.m. building the website, doing all of his inventory, getting frames for all of his different paintings. And they come in our office and said, hey, we need our money back. Like, okay, that money is spent, and there's a beautiful website because of it. And they said, well, we need it now, so why don't we do like a garage sale of all these paintings? And we're like, okay, like if you really need that money. So we do this fire sale, it doesn't go very well, and they sued us for that money back. Which, as a young company, $14,000 is kind of a consequential amount of money, plus we lost all this time that we spent in this profit sharing deal. And so this was our first lawsuit, and it kind of rocked our last. And our last, that's true. Our first and only. Oh, not our last.
I guess we've been threatened with other ones.
Yeah, that was only our first
count.
real one.
It's the people that you engage with, right? Like we're not litigious people. We're not going to sue people. We want relationships. That's what we value. Unfortunately, in the world, there's just other people that aren't that way, and they will sue you, even if you've done nothing wrong. And objectively speaking, you followed the contract and you've delivered everything you said you would. Like you don't get a pass. Like somebody eventually will probably sue you, and that's just the way that it is.
So this kind of rocked our world for these deals that we were doing, and that we were not turning away any deals. If the money was good, like we were going to do it. And so we had one fateful meeting at a Chick-fil-A in Sandy, Utah, which is a great place to meet. And we looked at our business and said, are we passionate about what we're doing? Do we keep going? Or do we pivot? Or do we get jobs? Our risk-averse partner was like, my resume is spiffed up. I am ready.
It'd been ready for like 6 months. He was like, when I'm done.
And we challenged everyone in our team to come up with 30 pivot ideas, 30 ways that we could use and deploy the assets and the knowledge that we had in a different field, in a different way. And what we had found through all of our marketing campaigns was our most effective campaigns were using influencers and bloggers. We would reach out to them, align them with the brands, do sponsored content, and that was by far the most effective marketing campaigns that we ever put together. So we decided to build a platform for bloggers and brands to connect. We had the development chops in India. We knew quite a few influencers in Utah, and we knew a lot of brands that could use it. So this is the path we decided to go down. And we ended up attending a digital influencers conference, which we were invited to by a fellow Aggie.
And I think this whole story is like here forward. It to me is all about the power of relationships, and like that's what really matters in life. So Kevin and I were in the MBA cohort, and there was a fellow female in our cohort named Caitlin Erickson, who's now Caitlin Carmen, and she landed a job right out of school working for KSL. Running all of the social marketing for Family Share, which while she was there, they launched 100 some odd different Facebook pages and had a distribution in the tens of millions of impressions a month. So she was just crushing it. And they were putting on a digital influencers conference at KSL, and because she knew that we were in the digital space, she just invited us. Like, we did not really belong in the room. Like, yes, we had some success. Yes, we had a group of clients. But, like, we were easily the least qualified person there. And to further the point on relationships, the keynote speaker was Camille Adamson, who got married, and is Camille Beckstrand. And she's the oldest of the Six Sisters. If you know Six Sisters stuff, you're familiar with their websites. They do tremendous work, and they're like this super clean, wholesome brand where they just make food that they love to eat, and they have this crazy cult-like following. And it's awesome. My mother-in-law is in their cult. She like, that's her jam, right? Like every year I beg and plead all 6 of the sisters to sign their cookbook, and I give that to my mother-in-law, and it's like the best thing that I could possibly do. So it's amazing. But she talked about the tremendous success they'd had on Pinterest, and they were in the right place at the right time, had the highest quality content you can imagine, and they got to ride this Pinterest wave, which was awesome. And here we are. We'd been doing this for about 2.5 years, and that's what we do. We acquire traffic and conversions for businesses. So we had purchased licenses to tons of tools. We'd written algorithms. We'd written formulas. Like, we had all these tracking, and we'd actually we're pretty skilled at optimizing any type of campaign on multiple social platforms. So after she spoke, her and I were ambassadors here together, and so we'd known each other for about 8 or 9 years. And I just asked her, you know, after we caught up a little bit, asked her what they were doing. Like, if she knew something that we didn't, like, how are you doing this? And she's like, we don't have any strategy. We just post and hope. And we were like, okay, that's awesome. Like, that's even cooler. But there's tons of these optimizations. Like, we do kind of things like this. And it doesn't cost us anything. So can we just come by and we'll teach you guys how to use it? We'll give you all our logins for free. And shoot, we'll even do it for you if you want for free. You don't have to pay us. But to have this mentality of like building value first in relationships and just letting things happen. Right, and the end result was like, hey, and if, you know, we're working together and we end up with these brands based off of our 30 Chick-fil-A ideas, if we ended up with brands that wanted to work with you guys, we'd bring those to the table. You could pick over them the ones you wanted. We would you know, enter into an agreement and we'd all make money and everything would be great. But we have all this expertise that you don't, and you need it. And I know you and I trust you, and we've known each other for a long time. Let us just come and teach you. So we set an appointment to come by, and we're expecting to meet with 6 sisters, and there's 3 dudes at the table. And we walk in, and we're like, this is kind of weird. And it turned out to be her dad and her uncle and her dad's best friend. And turns out that this one website, you know, provided for like 7 or 8 families, which was amazing. And it was amazing insight for us to see the impact of like how a successful website can really change lives and basically create these entrepreneurs. And they can just focus on what they're passionate about. Like the 6 sisters love food. They love to cook, and that's what they want to do. And so they're able to find this kind of niche in the world where they can create a ton of value in the space and make a great living. And as we sat there and gave them, you know, at this time we've been doing it for years. We have like this little dog and pony show. We show them the slides. We talk about what we're doing. We show them the case study. And, you know, and they liked it, and they were impressed. And they're like, yeah, that's really cool. Like, we'd love for you to help us. But our biggest pain point is not getting people to our website. Like, we get people to our website in droves. Our biggest pain point is that we make pennies when they get there. Like, we make pennies per 1,000 people that come to our website. If we could increase that, we would really have a model. And they started giving us more insight into like a publisher and their real pain points that we had never known about before.
And so we decided to take this platform idea and pivot it, even though it hadn't even started, do a little mini pivot. And instead of connecting brands and advertisers through like a sponsored content type of like a situation, we decided to help them manage their ads. And that's like where the Blogger Network was born. So we had this meeting with them on a Thursday. We met on Friday as partners. We thought about it. We prayed about it Saturday, Sunday. Monday comes around and we all feel really good. And all of those red flags that we saw with these other unscrupulous people, there were no red flags, there were no yellow flags, there were no orange flags. And we said, let's do this with them. Like, this is that same direction of our pivot. Let's do this. So we met with them on Thursday, had some calls with them Friday, Monday. We moved into their office on Tuesday. This is like a 5-day span. We took all of our equipment, all of our stuff, told all of our employees, like, this is where our office is now. And we moved out of that warehouse, and we moved into this little business park in Farmington, right by Smith's. And we just started hacking at this project. Now, we still have marketing clients, and we still needed to pay our paychecks, right? Like, we all have kids at this point. You can't just go from income to no income. And so we decided to keep up the agency while we built this on the side. And so a couple things happened. I ran the agency for 40 hours a week, and then for the other 20 to 40 hours in that week, I worked on what we called the Blogger Network. Nate took all 60 to 80 hours of his week and worked on the Blogger Network full-time. And Kevin got an offer from his brother and took a full-time job for 40 hours a week, and then also built this on the side for 20 to 40 hours a week. Me and Nate paid our paychecks through the agency, and we kept that agency up for 2 more years as we built the Blogger Network and as it reached profitability and we could actually draw down salaries. So this service-based business that we had built out of school was now fueling our next venture, really like, not under the table, but without almost any of our clients knowing. The amount of stress that put on our bodies and our brains and our marriages, shout out to my wife, we're still married. I mean, those were rough years. But like the passion in our bellies, like just burned with this opportunity. Like this is what we've been looking for. This was the match that like was going to set us on that next path. And there was nothing that was going to stop us. And so we ran that for about eight months until we were ready to run a beta. When we ran the beta, we had 11 sites already that we had sold on the concept. When we launched, we had 200 sites sign up in the first day because this was such a pain point. In the first couple of weeks, we had 500 sites sign up. So we thought, okay, we got to figure this out for real because this is just a beta. Like it was very much what we call a Wizard of Oz MVP, where it looks like it works and you put in stuff, and what's happening behind the scenes is we're just doing it in
somebody's
Excel
like pulling the levels and moving
doing
all the things. Like that's what it was. Like
I mean, we had to prove the model, right? And so we sold it first as a concept, and we gathered interest, and we actually started generating revenue off of just basically Excel spreadsheets behind a .NET framework. That's what the company was. So once we had all this interest, we didn't let anybody else through the doors until we figured out how to automate some of this stuff, and we launched three months later. And since then, we've just grown into what kind of we are now. That office space, again, we always come back to office space. We outgrew that office in about a month after actually launching. So we needed a new space, so we moved down the street into another part of the strip mall that they built out for us, and we outgrew that space in about 3 months. And that's when we started looking for empty buildings again, and that's when we found the building that we're in now. So that journey, like of all those mistakes and all those hard lessons that we learned the hard way, all the grit and all the long nights and the really early mornings, like that just took so many years. And I think one of the best things you can have right now is just delay when you get those things. Have patience, right? I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the marshmallow experiment, where there's like kids that if they wait to eat the marshmallow, they can have 2. And if they just eat the marshmallow, that's all they get. Like if you can delay your gratification and go the long haul, it will pay off in dividends. It's not easy to do, but it's so worth it.
Yeah, and it really comes down to what you focus on, right? And we talk about this all the time with in between ourselves to kind of reaffirm what we actually believe, and also if we ever talk with other people that are trying to start businesses, they're like knowing yourself and knowing what you actually want to get out of life, like that's a huge up. And like this patience principle is so true, right? Like over the next 5 years after you graduate, your odds are you're going to be working anyways, but at the end of that 5 years, Dr. Glauser shared this earlier tonight, I'm totally going to steal it. At the end of the 5 years, you're basically just going to have a paycheck and you built no equity or ownership really in anything. But if you can delay that instant gratification and the frustration that may come with seeing all of your friends on Facebook and Instagram going on vacations with their spouses and significant others while you are literally working 80 hours a week, at the end of those 3 to 5 years, hopefully, like not only do you have a good income, but you've actually built some equity in your life, and your life is substantially different, right? Like live today like nobody else is willing to, so in the future you can live your life like nobody else can, right? And that's the whole point. But the crux of that whole equation is I can delay that gratitude. I don't need to get a high-paying job right out of school. Like I am willing to grind my tail off for what I want to do. And like that to me is like one of the biggest things.
Let's see. Where are we at? I lost my place.
Kind of up to current.
Yeah. So the last kind of piece before we launch into some of these slides. So we're named the Blogger Network, and we're working with all of these kind of small-ish bloggers. But we start getting a name for ourselves, and we start working with really large sites that are not bloggers, and sites that actually detest the name, like network, because most of the scummy companies in our industry are networks, right? So now we have a name and a brand that blogger doesn't really fit, and it alienates some of our best customers, and the word network means we're bad. So we could either be that was like the only word left in our name, or we could rebrand. And so we decided to rebrand, thank goodness. The was taken. So we became Monumetric. And what Monumetric means, Manu is actually the Hindu god who is responsible for the progenation of mankind. Every like bazillion years, he has to like restart the human race. It also means bird, which we have a product named Flight. But Manu for us is like the human side of our company. Without our people, without our clients, like we would be nobody. And what our company does is it facilitates publishers to connect to their readers, right? If you're making money from your site, you can spend more time on it, and you can spread the content that you want, and that's what the internet does. Metric is our like dedication to analytics and to measuring what matters, because without knowing your numbers, you don't have a business, you don't have anything, because you have no idea what's happening. And so go ahead.
I'm saying if you look at our logo, the O is 3 concentric circles, and there is a pale blue dot in the third, right? Earth is the third rock from the sun. If any of you guys are into Carl Sagan, he has a little statement that he wrote called the pale blue dot, which is when the Voyager satellite left the solar system, he convinced NASA to flip it around 180 degrees and take a picture of Earth from that perspective. And it's a beautiful saying, but for us it strikes a chord because it's about unifying humanity. And from that perspective, every war, every leader, everything that is so important here, racism, sexism, all these things that like we get so caught up in, from that perspective mean absolutely nothing. And that we are like one human race and one mankind. And so we believe in that so much that's literally our logo. And we have it there, maybe not to appeal to anybody, but to remind us of what we actually really value.
And that's being able to rebrand also helped us like set kind of a new course for our company, because we had scrambled from one thing to another, and the Blogger Network was a URL that was available, and that's kind of how it became our brand. This one we wanted to do deliberately, and we wanted it to have purpose and meaning behind it. And it also meant that it kind of set us on a new direction as a company, where we would work with much larger publishers and help them attribute the massive amounts of data that they were unable to. So I guess fast forward to today, kind of where things are at right now. I know like speaking here and stuff, like it's a big deal to us. We have far from made it. Like don't let my really nice boots fool you that have holes in them. Like we have not made it, and we are still grinding at the grindstone every single day. And our company is pivoting again, and we'll talk about this in our slides, but we see the writing on the wall that companies like us won't survive for another 5 years. And so we're pivoting from a technology-enabled service company to an actual SaaS platform for publishers. So
if that phrase that like what you're doing now is not going to exist in 5 years doesn't like trigger something in you that makes you interested and excited, like entrepreneurship might not be the best thing, because like that's just going to be the case, right? Like it is about the constant improvement and constant iteration, and like that statement of like in 5 years we're going to go out of business if we don't change, that should excite you, right? That should be like, cool, like let's figure it out. I can't wait to go through the phases. I can't wait to talk to customers. I can't wait to go through the iterations and find out how dumb we are and how many bad assumptions we've made. So we get to learn, we get to find truth, and then we can progress.
Yeah. We like to say that we're unromantic about how we make our money. So in 5 years we might be doing something totally different, but the second you get romantic about what you're doing, you become Kodak. Right? Like Kodak was so passionate about the art of film that they just missed the boat so hard. So that's what we're trying not to do. I think we're at a point where we can move to our slides, right?
Yeah.
How much time do we have? How long has it been? Okay.
Okay.
We can wrap up.
Perfect. All right, we're going to start the presentation now. How about that?
So there are most of the decisions that you're going to make and most of the problems that you're going to face fall, for us, within 3 categories, right? People, product, and market. That's it. Like, all of your business can be summed up in those 3 categories. We want to just share a couple things in each category that we've learned along the way, and a lot of it is in the stories that we just shared.
Yeah, and hopefully, like, this is just a really quick crash course in everything that all the mistakes that we've made, and that if sharing this keeps one person in this room from making one of these mistakes, then it's a total win for us. The first one is business is people, right? Like, if you don't understand people, then you don't understand business. Even AI, that was written by a human. Every algorithm was written by a human. Every transaction, whether it's B2B or B2C, like, that can all be traced back to and decision that they made. And so understand humans, how they tick and how they work, and understand how to communicate and build value with humans.
Listen to your gut. A lot of times your gut knows before, and if you don't listen to your gut, listen to your wife. Usually, like, when you're talking to them about the people you're working with, they can tell if they're scumbags before you can. So there's actually studies that your body can pick up on signals before you can actually process them. So, like, listening to your gut is not a scientific answer, but it's real. And the last one there is founder's rules. Whoever you're going to found your company with, let's say you take on a partner, you take on an investor, it's like you're marrying that person. So ask yourself, could I marry this person? And then don't kiss them, but
regardless if it's legal in your state or not. And one thing that we thought we had learned and then made the mistake, like when we first founded our agency, like, we had equity that vested over 4 years. So we did all that grit and all that grinding for all those years, and none of us ever owned a single share in that entity. But because of that, we had 4 founders, and one of them left, and 25% of our company didn't leave when he decided to leave, if that makes sense, right? Set all those expectations up front, kind of like a prenup. Somebody said that earlier today. So.
Yep. So if you're getting in bed with anyone, just have those rules. People are also your greatest asset, and those would be your employees. If you view people as like the roadblocks in your road to making money, you're not going to go very far. Like, people, like, you build companies on the backs of your people. They are truly your best asset. So build a culture that you love and that you would work in. A couple things that we do in our culture. Every morning, we meet as a full company and we watch a funny video together. Start the day off with a laugh. We'll watch a stand-up comedy routine for 5 minutes, or some, like, internet cat compilation videos. Then we do announcements. We view the new sites that went live the day before. And then we play a game that's based on your quarterly incentive for your team. And if you hit your key performance indicators from the day before, you get to play. That game is usually a twisted version of a board game. Right now, like, so every quarter has a different theme. This quarter's theme is Nacho Libre. So each team has their own luchador, and they have to travel through the path of becoming a monk and then a wrestler. And you have burritos, and you can steal people's abilities. Like, it's a weird game. But it keeps everybody accountable. Like, we get up every morning and we're like, so-and-so and so-and-so didn't hit their KPI yesterday. And they're like, oh. Like, they just let their whole team down in front of everybody. So it keeps us accountable. It keeps us moving towards goals. And it is so much fun. After that, we do a daily brain nugget where someone from the company teaches everyone in the company about something that they're passionate about for 5 to 10 minutes. So it's 50 minutes total, usually, throughout the whole week. And we always tell people to bring their nerd to work. So we've had brain nuggets about painting, meditation, woodworking. This week's is about metal, like metal music.
Heavy metal.
We have somebody who's really into metal, and he's teaching us about all the genres. So there's a difference between doom metal and Viking metal.
We learned that yesterday. Like, no joke.
Doom is not that cool. Viking metal is kind of cool. I mean, we have seriously done everything from, like, knot tying to sea shanties. It is unreal what people are into. And when they get to share that with their company, you build this bond that you would not believe. It is so fun.
So yeah, the next thing around people is leadership. If you're going to found a company, you have to be the guy or girl, right? Like, everybody's going to look to you to set the precedence for work ethic. You cannot ask anything of your people that you're not willing to do yourself. And sometimes that includes shoveling the manure part of your business. Like you have to be willing to do the unfun stuff if you're ever going to ask anybody to do that, right? You don't hire people to delegate, you hire people to elevate. You want to elevate the people that you bring in, right? And this success in business to us is an inside-out process, right? Like by and large, the success you're going to create in a business is going to be off of yourself, right? Like, are you disciplined enough? Do you have enough knowledge? Do you have enough work ethic? Like, are you willing to do it? That is, to us, 80, 90% of the game, right? It's 10% pony, 90% jockey, right? Like, are you willing to ride through the whole race and see it all the way through?
And that's like so obvious in pro sports. I think like, oh, that guy's not being a leader on the court and stuff. Like, when you are the guy in your company, the spotlight is always on. And it is lonely. Like, it is a very lonely experience a lot of times because you cannot make a mistake. And if you do, you have to own it. But you have to have integrity. You have to be honest. You have to be the hardest working in that building, right? Which is not fun, and it is hard. But become that person now. Because if you're not that person when you start, your flaws only get magnified.
Yeah, and just the last one on this is know your why, right? Know what is fulfilling to you and why you're involved in the venture. Because if you're inauthentic or you lie about that, it'll be exposed eventually, right? And trust goes one way. You can build trust. If you lose it, it doesn't come back. Like it's impossible to regain that trust wholly. And so if you say one thing, and it might be, look, like I'm a greedy capitalist and I'm starting a business to make money so I can retire when I'm 35. If that's really the way you are, say it. Be that person so everybody knows, and at least you're authentic. At least I know I can trust you. But if you spin some BS tale that it's like, oh, this is so fulfilling for me and all this yada, 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 and then I see you making decisions as an employee that are based off of lining your own pockets over what you tell me is important, then I know that you're a liar. And like you and your employees don't trust you, it's really hard to inspire them. It's really hard to hold them accountable because they know that you're not honest.
Okay, so this is just a breadcrumb trail. I would take a picture of this slide. There are frameworks that are going to help you in your business. Each one is just a different set of lenses. These are all either books or articles or frameworks for you to use. Just take a picture, look that stuff up later. We're not going to go through each one.
Yeah. And that's the whole point is perspective, right? Like Leonardo da Vinci, before he would paint things, he would sketch them from 3 or 4 or 5 different perspectives. So he truly understood what he was going to paint before he committed to mix paints and all the colors and commit it to canvas, which was really an expensive process. He sketched it all out first. And so these are all books. You can legit Google these and look at images and it'll just pop up with the list of the questions if you don't want to read the book. But don't use one rubric or one analysis. Like, you're not going to make it all the way running just a SWOT analysis over and over and over on your company. Like, put on different lenses every day.
This is seemingly obvious, but you would be surprised how often it gets forgotten. People are going to buy your product or use you as a service for their reasons and not yours. So you have to understand who they are and what they need. What is their pain point? Like, we had our idea, like, let's connect bloggers and brands. And then it wasn't until we actually sat down with the customer that we realized that they just didn't care about that.
Yeah, and you'll notice this immediately. You talk to other people that run businesses. If they talk about how smart they are and how amazing they are, they probably don't get it. If they talk about their customers and why their customers love them, then that shows that they actually understand that, hey, these are the people that pay our bills, and we understand their reasons, and that's why we pivot and change, is their needs and expectations change over time. That's why we change. Does that make sense? Yep.
Scale. This is a Glauserism. Premature scaling will kill like 90% of all small businesses. We have known this forever and we still did it. It is so hard not to scale too fast because once you start earning money, you start thinking of ways that you can spend it. Even if it's people to increase your service and better. Adding people to a problem does not make the problem better. It doesn't fix the problem. And so be so careful when you scale. There are so many people, and when you listen to podcasts and stuff, it's all about scale. How about making a software is infinitely scalable. Early on in your business, do the things that are not scalable, right? Service your customer one-on-one. Like when we started our marketing agency, we did everything. We sold the client, we billed the client, we serviced the client account, we did their reporting. We knew every bit of the business. When we started the Blogger Network, we did every bit of the ad ops management and the reporting and the payments. Those not scalable things help you understand how your process is going and what's broken in it. Adding people to just do things, just to delegate it, you will never know how your business is actually working.
Yeah, and to the MVP point, you have to know what's valuable to your customer, and that's like what's the minimum thing that you can deliver to them that they perceive as very valuable. And if you don't know that, like a lot of businesses will pretend they're going to have these first world problems. We're like, oh, if we're going to get bought out by Google eventually, then we better structure our company like this because we want our valuation to look that way. Like that is a first world problem that statistically speaking you're never going to have. But you spend so much of your like intellectual capital thinking about that when literally all you need to care about is what your customers are going to love. And if they're super happy, then you can address those things when they happen.
And last is market. You have to know your market. Another Glauserism here, to live within the boundary. If you are going into an industry you know nothing about, that's okay. But in the next 3 months, you better know way more than anybody else that you know about it. You have to read like your literal life depends on it, because it does. Because like every industry is so different and is so niche. Talk to people in your market. Call up influencers. Like they would be happy if you just picked their brain. I had a call this last Monday with a publisher just to pick his brain about our new product and our new direction. That like you can never stop learning. You have to live within the industry that you're going to go into. Start now. Like if you're really interested in like health sciences and you still don't have a business idea for it, start reading right now. Like pay to or ask for like a grant or something from the school to go to a conference. Just get there and you'll start to learn the pain points and you'll start to understand what's going on in your future industry.
Ultimately, how sticky your value prop is how much value you create, right? And value is subjective, right? And it's what's subjectively valuable to your customer, right? You may be able to create diamonds or have this line on like on mining diamonds, and in a first world economy like ours, like diamonds are pretty valuable. But if you're trying to sell those diamonds to somebody that doesn't know where their next meal is coming from, they're literally worthless. Like you can have billions of dollars worth of diamonds and they're not worth anything, right? And so you have to understand your industry in order to create value. And until you've been in an industry for a couple of years, you're not going to be able to create anything of significant value because you just don't know. You don't know how it works. You don't know the pain points. You don't know the players. And like that's the whole point, though, is get to learning that and have a business model that works, that gets you into the industry 3 to 5 years, and then from that point you can really innovate and do something special.
This one right here, like read. If you are like serious about starting a business or even being a professional, I challenge you all right now to stop listening to music like today. Just stop it. It's not worth it. Unless you're going into music, just stop. Listen to podcasts and listen to books. Stop wasting your time. Stop feeling like your mind is a well. You're never going to pull anything out of it that's not already there. So just stop it. And if you keep listening to music, don't. I'm like dead serious. Like I've talked to a lot of people about this. There is nothing that Top 40 Radio is going to give you that books like will not supersede in 10 years. Becky Anderson again taught like if you read 1 hour a day, you will be an individual expert in 5 years. You will be an industry expert in 10 years, and you will be a global expert in 15 years. And that is so true. So,
and finding that time and making it a priority. All of us have an hour or 2 hours in our day, whether it's at the gym, walking to class, driving, whenever it is. And usually we put on some music, and music is great. It's wonderful. I love it. My grandfather taught choir for 45 years. Like it's amazing, and it's a mood amplifier, but use it strategically, not habitually, right? Like use music in the background, still appreciate it, but you can get a secondary college education in the time that you're here in the way you choose to spend that time, right? And you're only going to be able to pull out of your brain what you put into it. If you were like me when I was in college and it's just 90s gangster rap, like that's what I was put into my brain every down minute, and you better believe it, I got those lyrics still. But fortunately, early in my career, I read a book by Brian Tracy called The Psychology of Sales, and he made a promise that if you read an hour a day, then within 10 years your income will double. And this is an old book, he's old school, but I read that and I was like, bull crap, I'm going to do it, and it happened, right? And so if you can have that discipline in your life to be dedicated to learning, like you're going to know more than other people. right? Right now you're all in classes together. You're all going to go out into a job market. Guess what? You major in marketing. The person next to you majors in marketing. You're both going in to interview for the same job. Who knows more? The person that knows all these 90s hip-hop lyrics or the person that has read 47 other books? Does that make sense? And has actually put some of that stuff into practice. And so it's a great opportunity to significantly increase like the quality of your life and the quality of your thoughts, to make that a keystone habit for your life. Is that it? Oh.
Last one.
This is the last one. We're done.
Put yourself out of business. Ask yourself every quarter, how can we put ourselves out of business? Because I promise once you start making a name for yourself in any sort of industry, there are 10 people out there that are literally trying to steal food off your family's plate. They're going to put you out of business if you don't, right? So every quarter ask yourself, how, if I was my own competitor, how would I put myself out of business? And then do that, right? Kill your own cash cow. That is like very graphic, we understand. But whatever's making you the most money, try to build something new that will replace that cash cow. Because if you're so reliant on one revenue source, if that goes away, like in our industry, if Google were to like shift 2 inches to the left or to the right, they would crush us. And we know that. So we're diversifying away from them. Does that make sense? Sorry, we're like blazing through these, but.
Yeah. Well, and to that point, like there's an adage that competition starts at $10 million, right? Like until you're doing at least $10 million in gross revenue annual, like nobody even knows you exist. Like literally, even people like, they could be in the same office complex as you. They have no idea you exist until like you start scaling, right? And by that point, like hopefully you're actively working to put yourself out of business. So.
Okay.
And the last one is skate to where the puck is going, right? So like if you're in the boundary, you understand the industry, you know the macro trends, the micro trends, you know what's moving the industry, who's moving the industry and why, you can be positioned to capture the wave as opposed to just ride it like everybody else. Because right now you can hop in and ride a wave. There's hot things everywhere. Bitcoin for one. Like you can hop on waves that are already happening and that's cool, but what are you going to do when you hit the beach, right? Like know where it's going and skate there as opposed to like, oh, this is cool now, I'm going to do this. And I think that's it.
Yeah,
anything
that's
else?
It. Let's go to Q&A and you guys can bounce if you need to. I know we went long.
Yeah, when we're supposed to be done.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Bailey's the boss. Bailey says we have time for 2 questions. So Boss Bailey will come. Red jacket over here. And here, right? Do you want to come up here? Is that okay? I don't know how this works, Bailey. I'm sorry. You're the boss. Just boss us around.
Okay, so you mentioned listening to books and podcasts. Is there a podcast that you would recommend to us to listen to right now?
Depends on where you're at in your life and your business. I like Masters of Scale right now. That's a really great one. A lot of good insights. I've always liked the Tim Ferriss podcast because he's always exploring weird stuff. The pitch is decent. It's like Shark Tank for audio, but it's like an actual VC that's vetting investors. And I do have one guilty pleasure, and that is Locked On Jazz every day. 10 minutes.
Locked On
worth
Jazz.
it.
And I'm more of a contrarian. I like You Are Not So Smart. I like Freakonomics podcasts. I like those types of things. And so it's just kind of what you're looking for. But literally look at things that are highly rated and sample them and find something. Again, make the commitment to do it. Run through it. If it's not jiving with you, just switch. So, cool. Great question.
Yeah.
One more question? We will hang out as long as anybody has questions. Do you want to come forward?
Back.
Or at least if we could get the mic over there. We'll hang after and answer anybody's question one-on-one if you want. We'll stay here as long as anybody's here.
Also, we've been poor college students, and then we were poor post-college students as well. If any of you guys need help with audiobooks, we have a bunch of MP3 audiobooks that we would love to share. Just come find us. Or email us at our first name, Kyle@monumetric.com, or Nate, and we'll share those with you.
So I just have a quick question. I'm wondering, like, from you guys' perspective, do you guys find value in, like, being involved with school and, like, clubs? Like, in your guys' like career right now, you guys being involved in school, did that help you get there?
Like our involvement here, right?
Yeah, like when you were in school, like, did that help you get to where you're at right now?
So yeah, I can speak to that. When I was here for my undergrad, I was fortunate enough to get a scholarship as an ambassador, and so I recruited transfer students to come here. And then I also joined a fraternity, Sigma Phi Epsilon, and was a founding member of that chapter. And the skills that you learn, those soft skills that are not taught in class, of how to inspire and motivate people, how to organize people, and how to create engagement in a group, those are things that I didn't learn in class. And that's more of my job now than deal flow analysis or SWOT or whatever it is, if that makes sense, right?
I think like that. We obviously wouldn't be here if it wasn't for our involvement in school, because we met here. But like my involvement with the Entrepreneurship Club, I was involved for all 3 years I was here. Like I don't think even Mike Glauser knows how much the Entrepreneurship Program affected us and like seriously changed our life. Like we have connections, like we got clients from like the board of the Entrepreneurship Club. We hit them up, of course. I mean, like we seriously call them Glauserisms, and we like say them in our business all day. Like there is a PowerPoint that Mike shared that we look at like once a year. Like the involvement in the Entrepreneurship Club for us seriously changed our life. And I'm not just, like I am a huge homer for the Entrepreneurship Club, but that is the reason why we're here.
Well, and there's never a better time, right? Starting a business is like planting a tree. The best time is 100 years ago. The next best time is like today. Right, if you want to enjoy any shade in your life, like plant a tree. Like right now, you'll never have more disposable time. You'll never have access to more resources. Specifically, like experts in entrepreneurship that have seen more deals and understand value creation more than most people on the planet. We're fortunate here to have somebody like Dr. Glauser, who is a world-class expert in this, and he has set office hours. Like you can go pick his brain. Like outside of this ecosystem, like you are going to pay thousands and thousands of dollars per hour to talk to somebody that barely holds a candle to his expertise, if that makes sense, right? Like if you were going to do this, like do it tomorrow, and hopefully like you understand like what we set out to do, we're night and day away from that, and that was a path. Just start the path, right? It's a first step, and do it now, right? That's the best time, because like, believe it or not, like you may think you're a busy college student, like, oh, I have a part-time job and I'm a full-time student, blah, 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 blah. Like, you will never, ever have more free time than right now, ever. It'll never happen. So
if you cut your Netflix time in like a third, man, you would have so much time. It's just
thank you, great question.
Hard time.
Cool. Let's give another hand, guys. So to thank you guys and thanks for all of us. I know you guys lived in Logan. We're going to give you guys another taste of Logan. And thank you guys so much for coming up. So we really appreciate you.